Coaches, thanks for tuning in again. This episode, we're going to cover the Bandit, the Black Bandit 4-3 defense. Bandit is our base front. So when we go Bandit, we're talking about being in our base personnel, base package. Our base coverage is going to be a cover 4, and we call it a cover 4 read 2. Kind of go through some of the ins and outs and the intricacies of the defense. Let's start with the front 4. Okay, one thing we do, we try to really keep things as simple as possible for kids. We don't want them to think. We don't want paralysis by analysis. We want kids to be able to line up and play fast and use their athleticism to make plays on defense. Our left defensive end and left tackle, again, we don't flip these guys. Our right tackle, right end. So what we're going to do is we'll get a strength call from our Mike linebacker. Okay, our strength call, what we tell him is tight end would be the first thing he's looking for in making a strength call. If there's a tight end, we're always going to call the strength to the tight end side. Okay? If there's no tight end, we look for passing strength or formation. Basically calling it to the numbers. Okay? Wherever they have numbers on us. One thing we do is we usually against spread teams, if there's a back offset over to this side, we'll call the strength opposite of the back rather than to the back. Obviously, a lot of that at the high school level is based on game planning and watching film. But the reason we usually do that is because a lot of teams then will run their zone read to this side. So we want to put our strength over to the side that they want to run to. In our passing formation, again, if it's a balanced set, what we tell them then in a balanced set is we're going to go left or the field, okay? So balanced set in the middle of the field would be strong left because most teams are right-handed. Otherwise, if it's on a hash mark, we're going to call it to the wide side of the field. So that's what determines our strength. And again, our Mike linebacker is the guy that makes that call. One rule we teach our D-line, we talk about our gaps, A gap, B gap, C gap, and so on. And we tell our tackles, a little thing we use a lot of times just to help them get lined up. If the strength's away, I'm in the A. If the strength's to me, I'm in the B. So again, strength's away, I'm in the A. Strength to me, I'm in the B. That helps them get lined up in what gap they're supposed to be in. Our defensive ends are always going to be outside shade on the end man of the line of scrimmage playing through half a man. Okay? They're responsible for contain and for setting the edge of the defense. We call this our laser, Mike, and our rebel. Okay? So laser, Mike, rebel. Okay? These guys here, whenever they have a receiver set outside of them, okay, we always tell them align for success. Okay, we want to align for success. And we say body outside, eyes inside. Okay, and the reason that is we don't ever want to give teams leverage. We don't ever want to get caught with our guys too tight, especially against the more spread teams we see, 2x2 sets, 3x1 sets, things like that. So their rule, anytime there's a receiver out here, is an apex position. And we tell them an apex position is that midway point. So we want an apex number 2 and what would be number 3 or the end man line of scrimmage. Okay, so apex 2 and 3 or the end man line of scrimmage. Okay, so that's the rule for our outside backer in terms of alignment. Same thing over on this side. So he's going to apex like that. Now, one little tidbit we'll talk about is if our outside backer on the weak side, it's his responsibility. So in this responsibility here, he would normally be a B gap if there was a tight end. With no tight end, he's free to play more in the flats, play a little bit looser on this edge, and help with contain. Our Mike linebacker, his primary responsibility is the strong A gap. Okay, he's reading that A gap for an open window block or whatever the case may be. Get into some of that stuff in a different video. Okay, and then the rebel or the right outside linebacker, his responsibility because he's on the weak side, because in this situation we're a strong left, he would now be responsible for that weak side B gap. What we tell him is if by formation, if that offense apexes you out so far that you can't make a play in the B gap, in the run game, okay? Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a knife call. And we'll even make knife right, or we'll tell him, call the kid by his name. This defensive end then has to tap his hip, letting him know, I got the call for knife, and then what's gonna happen here is he's gonna knife inside to take that open bubble, that gap away, because this guy's playing out. Now all he has to do is he has to read that end man, and now he's got contained on the outside edge in the run game, okay? So just one little game, and again, we allow him to make that call, and we tell him, if by formation, if by rule, when you apex, you have to bump out wider to be able to cover the flat or to cover the curl route for that number 2 receiver, you need to make that knife call. If you're out too wide, you're not able to support us in the run game, you make the knife call, now you can help play contain on the edge. It makes it a little bit easier for them. Okay, so that's just one built-in rule that we have. All right, what we tell our corners, okay, our corners are playing pretty much man-on-one with the exception of anything crossing early. Okay, if anything crosses early, and when we say anything pushing vertical to us is if you're pushing vertical to linebacker depth. Okay, so if this guy right here pushes vertical to linebacker depth, this guy's going to be locked on one-on-one. Same thing over on this side, one-on-one. So we tell them, for the most part, you're going to be on an island. If that guy crosses hard to the inside, now you're going to drift back and look to help on maybe a corner route from number 2. Help our safety out with anything that might be coming back into this zone. Again, because our base coverage is cover 4, but it's a press cover 4. Okay, so we're going to press up in his face. Again, if he goes inside, we're yelling in, and then we're popping our hips, finding the quarterback's eyes, and we're playing our traditional zone steps. Okay, our safeties, their job is to read 2. Okay, read number 2. So this, when we number receivers, we're going from the sideline in. This is number 1. This is number 2. Same thing over here. Number 1, number 2, and then number 3 would be the back out of the backfield. Okay? So our safeties are going to play read 2. All right? Again, their rule, if this guy pushes vertical to linebacker depth, that's their guy. They're locked down one-on-one. Okay? It doesn't matter what he does after that. If he runs a 10-yard out, he runs a post, he runs a corner, it doesn't matter what he does. At that point, once he pushes vertical to linebacker depth, that's now his man. Okay? Same thing over on this side. Read 2. Now, what do we do in a trips coverage? Okay, let me get some of this stuff out of here, since I'm talking a little bit of secondary right now. Again, we just want to make sure that we're teaching things the same way, so that when the kids get up to the high school level, it's not that they don't have to relearn everything from scratch. Okay? So if they got into a 3x1 set, okay, something similar to this, again, corner here, okay, our outside backer is going to apex, so our laser is going to come up here and apex 2 and 3. Okay, the strength call will be to this side. Okay, backside backer rebel, he's now got run support, and he's looking on pass, he's looking for a quick slant over here. Okay, corner, our Mike backer is reading A gap again. Okay, now here's where things change a little bit. So our left safety, again, he's reading number 2. Okay, corner right here, solo. All right, he's working one-on-one over there. He's solo. Again, we want to help him on any quick inside slant game with our outside backer. Our backside safety, okay, he's gonna bump over. We tell him we don't really want you crossing much past the A gap to this side of the field. Okay, so our left side safety bumps over, reads 2. Right side safety, now what he's going to do is he's going to read 3. This is in a trips. Okay, and this is if we're staying in Bandit. Now obviously at the high school level we have the opportunity to flip different coverages and do some other checks, but a simple rule for youth, especially for the younger guys, he's going to read 2, he's going to read 3. Okay, again, if they push vertical, they're man to man. Okay, if they cross early, we just flip it around. So let's say, this guy pushes right here and then crosses over here, and they run something similar to that. They're going to let those 2 cross, and then the left safety would pick this guy up, right safety would pick this guy up. Okay, but once they push vertical to depth, okay? Now this safety's gonna stay here. If this guy pushes 5 to 7 yards, he's gonna stay, and they got a crisscross. Okay, if we see a lot of that, obviously at the high school level, we're gonna switch our coverage up to accommodate for what kind of route combinations they're seeing, and that'll all be part of our game plan. But the simple rules is read 2. If they go into trips, the backside safety is gonna read 3, okay? And the part I didn't talk about earlier with the read 2 is this. If this guy here runs something shallow, okay, we're always gonna bump out. So if I'm reading number 2, if I'm the left safety and I'm reading number 2, and he doesn't push vertical to linebacker depth, okay, he runs something shallow inside, I'm gonna yell in to let our linebackers know he's crossing, and then I'm getting my eyeballs over here to help on number 1, okay? The same thing would apply for our safety here on read 3. He's gonna read here, okay? If this guy runs an out, okay, he never pushes vertical to linebacker depth, out, okay? Now he's gonna get eyes to number 2, okay? So now if number 2's running something here, he can help out over the top of number 2, okay? Something like this right here, okay? Our linebacker who's out here, okay, our laser linebacker, he's playing curl to flat, so he would have to pick up that little out route, okay? Again, the communication is in, out by our safeties, because they're gonna read 2 and read 3 in that situation, okay? He's gonna read 1. Again, our corner now, if the corner's guy, if his read, when he reads that guy, if he does not push vertical to linebacker depth, let's say they're running like a shallow cross with this guy, okay, and let's say they want to run, corner out here, vertical here, okay, as soon as the corner sees this guy crossing up, he's not going to chase. He's yelling in, and then he's going to sit back on that corner route. So that's how we play our cover 4, and how we align and what our rules are in our base bandit defense. Okay, again, this is bandit, and that's our base defense, and we're playing read 4, okay? So cover 4 with a read rule. Thanks again for tuning in. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to anybody on the coaching staff. Have a great day.